I was born in 1955. The schools integrated shortly after Brown versus Board of Education, but it took a while, as most southern cities were, and they did it slowly. They started with just the senior class at our high school, I think in 1959, and then integrated the high school. My class was integrated when I started sixth grade, which would have been 1966 or 1967.
So you remember a time when it wasn't?
Oh yeah, yes. But I also remember my parents talking to me about the schools were going to be integrated. There were going to be all of these new students coming in that were here in Russellville but had been going to a different school. And one of the points my parents made to me is, as much as it might seem strange and a new experience for me, it was going to be a much more new, strange experience for them. And I needed to think of how they felt and have understanding of their circumstances.
What an enlightened viewpoint.
It made me aware, not only were there people that had a different life situation than I had never thought about that. I had never really known that there was segregation out there. And it's just that there's so many people that look at it through our own lens, and history is so much more important and so much more meaningful if you look at it from other people's perspectives as well. After we developed the museum in the bottom and have that campus there with the 4 museum buildings, the other long-term project had always been to try to do something meaningful with the Bibb House Museum.
And Bibb, you might just briefly tell us, he was?
Major Bibb was a Revolutionary War major who came to Kentucky in the 1790s, originally to the Lexington area, but moved to Logan County probably about 1805. And he's most noted for, number one, being a slaveholder. We know that at his house there were over 100 people enslaved at different times, but he's also been known for a person that emancipated his slaves. And we know that he emancipated at least 99 people at that site. That is a public site in Kentucky that we're restoring and going to tell the stories of slavery and of emancipation. So what we've done is created a sort of an umbrella organization that's called SEEK Museum, and SEEK is an acronym for Struggles for Emancipation and Equality in Kentucky. And our mission is to tell the story from 1800 all the way to the present at these 2 locations or 2 campuses that way. The Bibb House will take us from the beginning of statehood up until about 1870, and then you pick up 1865, 1870 in the bottom. So we're going to have SEEK Museum at the Bibb House and SEEK Museum at the bottom.
Can I ask a question? So you're so involved with this, with historic preservation in Russellville and in the state of Kentucky. When you're there in those spaces, when you're on the campus, do you ever get a strange sense, like an overwhelming sense maybe, that what came before?
I guess I do, but really I just feel the responsibility of all the things that we are trying to do. We've been working on this slowly, trying to do things without some big organizational structure, without a lot of funding, because I think we all feel really committed to what you've just said, is I am not interested in history for the purpose of reminiscing. The only purpose of history to me is if we learn from it. Sometimes you have to look back and understand other people's situation, develop that empathy for them. It sort of goes back to the same thing my parents told me when I was going to go to school that day into the first integrated class. Look at it from that other person's perspective and try to understand what they're feeling and what they're going through.
That's great advice.